everyone. Good morning, Miss Digama. So I am Babor Joelyn from BA at 2B, and I'm going to report together with my partner, Sarah May Abilio. We are going to report the critical and creative thinking skills in intermediate math. So first is critical thinking. Allows us to analyze outcomes, compare ideas, identify parallel sequence events, and draw conclusion. So critical thinking is not new to us. So when we say critical thinking, it includes it focuses on our cognitive skills and development. However, if we are going to relate it to mathematics, we are going to use our cognitive skills and development in relation to mathematics. So mathematics has a lot of process and things that you need to do in order to come up the solution or in order to find the real solution. So you as a students, since we are going to talk about here the skills of the intermediate students, so we are going to help them develop their critical thinking. And how are they going to compare ideas, sequence events, and synthesize information and draw conclusion based on facts. So later on, we are going to discuss about another thing about critical thinking. Next, we are going to talk about critical thinking in math. So when students think critically in mathematics, they make reasons, decisions, or judgment of what to do and think. So for example, you are going to teach your students about a simple equation or a simple problem. So the students who can think critically in math, they can make reasons, decisions, like what they are going to do, how are they going to do it, how they are going to do it rather, and what are the things that they need to be done, unsay unsaon ilahang mga steps on how to do it. So why take time to promote critical thinking in mathematics? Critical thinking in mathematics is not easy to deal with, especially if the students is not that good or dili siya ganahan og mathematics. So that's why it takes time to promote critical thinking in math. Time invested in developing critical thinking pays off when students learn to think and think to learn. Students who are critically thoughtful in mathematics develop deeper engagement and understanding, greater independence and self-guidance, stronger competence with mathematical processes. So go back here, learn to think and think to learn. So it means that the students are really good in thinking because learn to think. They are not that pabaya. They can generate or come up solution on their own and think to learn. So from the problem, they come up a solution and learn from it. So students who are critically thoughtful in mathematics develop deeper engagement and understanding. So when you are critically thoughtful in mathematics, you have a wide knowledge. Your knowledge is not limited when it comes to mathematics. So you can engage very well in different aspects of your life and understanding. So understanding how do the things happen, ganun na ingon ana na siya, ganun inana ang resulta, like that. So don't worry, later on na ay mga examples on students who can think critically. So greater independence and self-guidance. So kung ang students nimo is critical thinking in math, so less reliant sila sa teacher or sa parents. So it is not a burden to a teacher to have a students nga naay critical thinking in math. Stronger competence when it comes to mathematical processes. Yes, they have a stronger competence because they are they are good critical thinker. So it is not new nga good sila in mathematical processes. Like if you are to give them a problem, you are not having a hard time as a teacher to impart the information towards to them. Characteristic of a student who can think critically: first is able to understand logical relationship. So their ability to appropriately express logical relationship between among idea. So for example, in using a Venn diagram. So a Venn diagram na siya yung mga overlapping circles. So it illustrates the logical relationship between two or more sets of items. Often they serve to graphically organize things, highlighting how the items are similar and different. So able to understand logical relationship, they can differentiate what is the difference among the things and what the comparison about them. able to formulate idea concisely and precisely. Precise meaning that precision of mathematical language means that mathematical language is able to make very fine distinction of things. Mathematical language as being precise mean accurate or exact. This is one of the reasons why math is considered as exact science. So when we say precise, it is accurate or exact. So in math, it talks about here more like science din siya because it is about facts. Yeah, because naano siya yung mga steps. For example, yung mga kay if mo kuan mo ka mo solve ka ang problem sa math, naa siya na siya solution, naa siya mga steps. So kinahanglan jud nga ang imong ma-formulate ana is precise. Next is concise. Mathematical language as being concise means mathematical language is able to say or write things briefly. For instance, instead of writing the sum of 2 and the number, we can write the expression 2 plus 2. So when we say concise, it is direct to the point or brief. However, kung ang direct to the point, kana pud nga masabtan sa students. Next is able to construct, identify, and evaluate arguments. So, arguments, mao ni siya ang mga is a claim that a set of premises support a conclusion. There are two general types of argument, the inductive and deductive arguments. So, ang mga arguments, mao ni ang kinahanglan nimong i-construct, identify, and evaluate in order to create a solution. First is the inductive argument. Uses a collection or specific example as it premises and uses them to propose a general conclusion. For example, all sheep that I've seen are white. All sheep must be white. So, you are going to make a conclusion based on what you have seen. For example, sa usa ka example, maka-generate ka og conclusion. For example, nakakita ang tanan nga nakita nimo nga tupa kay puti. So, nakakonclude ka nga, ang tanan di ay nga tupa kay puti. So, mauna siya ang inductive argument. You are going to make a conclusion based on what you have seen or sa usa lang nimo ka kanang hypothesis nimo. Next is a deductive argument. Uses a collection of general statement at its premises and uses them to propose a specific situation. So, kani siya, it is considered valid if all the premises are true. For example, all dolphins are mammal. All mammals have kidney. So, naka-generate ang imuhang conclusion ani kay all dolphins have kidney. Kay ang imuhang premises A kay all dolphins are mammal. Then ang imong premises B kay all mammals have kidneys. So, naka-conclude na nga ang dolphin di ay naa di ay kidney. Next is able to evaluate decisions. Mathematics develop your reasoning and logical skills. Generate good alternatives, explore your options, select the best solution, evaluate your plan, communicate your decision, and take action. Okay, ang mathematics is dili man guni siya kabayan rag numerical reasoning about mga geometry, statistic, analytical reasoning, but it also involves the major decisions in life. So, ang mga elementary students as a teacher, you need to mold the mind of the students of how are they going to evaluate decisions because it is a great foundation as they grow up nga na sila idea kung unsaon pag develop ang decision. What are the things that ilang i-consider in order to make or evaluate decision. Next is able to evaluate and hypothesis. So, hypothesis testing, someone called significance testing, is an act in statistics whereby an analyst tests an assumption regarding a population parameter. So, in mathematics, as a student or as a future educator, you need to teach your students how are they going to evaluate evidence and hypothesis because nowadays there are a lot of false knowledge like makaingon ka nga tinuod na but dili. For example, if you are going to relate it to mathematics, there are a lot of mathematics problem nga complex kaayo. And how are you going to deal with that if dili nimo tudloan imong students to evaluate evidence and hypothesis? And we can relate also that into real life. Next is able to detect inconsistencies and common errors in reasoning. So as we all know nga, as we discussed earlier nga, ang characteristic of a student who can think critically kay maka-formulate sila ang idea concisely and precisely. So dire, if they can formulate idea concise and precisely, so they can detect inconsistencies and common errors in reasoning. Kanang for example, kanang mga bata nga mga fast learner or kanang mga gifted in math, dali sila nga makadetect og common errors sa usa ka problem, like dili na siya ingon ana ni siya because according to ana ng mga students dito. So you as a teacher, you must know unsalan ang imong nga ginahatag kanila. You must be prepared and also prepared to answer their questions. Able to analyze problems systematically. So you are going to teach them how to recognize a problem that exists, analyze the problem, collect information, identify possible causes or solution to a problem, and evaluate the possible causes. So kani siya, mura ra ni siya science. First is recognize jud nimo ang problem, and then i-analyze nimo ang problem, unsay mga causes, unsay ilaha nga, unsay gipangita, unsay lay kulang, mga inana, and then maka-evaluate na kadira og solution as you go along. Kaya when we say about systematically manggod na siya procedure, so from step 1 to the last procedure. Next is able to understand the relevance and important ideas. So here the students know the relevance, that it is a concept of one being connected to another topic in a way that make it useful to consider the second topic. So for example, kanang magamit nato ni siya every day, like kanang mo ask ka students, who among you who remember what was our lesson last meeting? So makahuna-una sila sa imuhang gina-discuss last meeting, and then maka-understand sila unsay relatedness ana sa new topic, and also the important ideas. Able to assess person beliefs and value. So as we all know that not all students are kanang maayo og math, or should I say kulang na jud sila og pagtudlo og math, because mathematical knowledge must be made in awareness of their belief. Because if a students believe nga lisod jud ang math, then you can probably you can help the students learn to love math, but you can force the students directly nga ay dapat jud ganahan jud kag math, so dili ingon ana. So you can assess person's belief and values. Able to evaluate one's thinking ability. So when we say evaluate one's thinking ability, it talks about metacognition. So it refers to the processes used to plan, monitor, and assess one's understanding and performance. So as a teacher, you must include critical awareness of one's thinking and learning, because as a student manggod niagi man siya tag elementary, so it is difficult for us nga walay ni understand nato, as naamang mga kuan jud nga lisudan jud ta. However, if the teacher knows how to evaluate how we think, like ilatang i-monitor, i-assess ang atong understanding and performance, and how they are going to help us in order to deal with our problem, then it's a great thing. Next, let's proceed to teaching ideas that teacher might try in the classroom. Creating a thinking classroom. So if you are going to want your students to become a critical thinking, this creating a thinking classroom is teaching ideas that a teacher might try. Nurture thoughtful communication. So allow your students to communicate how they feel about mathematics. Imo silang tudloan how to demonstrate communication when it comes to math. Frame critical challenge that when it comes to teaching math, it is not all about the basic one, but also you are going to give them the complex problem for them to develop the critical thinking, and also it sharpen their kanang critical thinking ability. Teach the intellectual tools. So there are a lot of tools that can be used in mathematics, like calculator, the use of measurement. So you are going to to demonstrate how those tools functions, assess thinking and performance. Yeah, as I said a while ago, it is very difficult to a students nga kanang walay mag-assess, mag-monitor niya of how are they ang unsaon niya pagsabot ang usa ka problem. So as a teacher, you are going to assess thinking and their performance. Creative thinking, the ability to come up unique original solutions. So a while ago we talked about critical, so now let's talk about creative thinking. So the ability to come up unique original solution. So when we say creative, it means that you are unique. You have your own, dili ka kanang murag mangapi ra sa uban, but you have your own solution no matter what it is. As long as it is your own, makaingon jud ka nga kanang dili ka murag two-faced. You have your own. Creative thinking involves students learning to generate and apply new ideas in specific contexts. How students can use prompts to help questions. So to help students rather, so for makahelp man ang teacher ani kay for example sa elementary namo, ang teacher is mo ask namo og kanang mga question. However, before that mohatag siya mga task nga ihang paansira namo, murag kanang pre-test gani, and then after that i-ask mi niya og how giunsa namo pagkuha ang mao nga solution. So in that way maka-use man og creative ang mga bata kay for example kita sa una magam-agam magaytag solution. But after that, i-generate man to sa i-teach man to sa teacher kung unsaon pagkuha ang usa ka problem. Help them become critical thinker. So when we say when you are creative, when you want your students to become creative thinking, so you as a teacher must be creative also. So how are you going to demonstrate them how to become creative if you are not creative? So it must start within you. So critical thinking involves students learning to recognize or develop an argument. So for example, in mathematics, students use logical argument when they are encouraged to test conjectures and justify. So for example, mag-debate na sila kung sa answer yung kanid jud sakto, but the students nga kanang they are critical thinker, makakuan jud sila example, ilang nang i-verify, ilang statement, to use logical argument to convince others nga sakto jud ni, mao jud ni kay based on facts ni nani ni. So the next topic will be reported to Abilio Sarmi.